multiplicative comparison word problems involving fractions. So I have the distributive property here again because that's one of the ways we will be solving, and just a refresher of what whole numbers and mixed numbers are. So please pause the video now and just review this vocabulary because this isn't the first time we've seen this, and when you're ready you can press play. Alright, so let's get into our first problem. As always, I'm going to model, you'll watch, and then you'll try one. So here I have Jeff has 10 packages that he wants to mail. 9 identical packages weigh 2 7/8 pounds each. So each one, so there's 9 and each of them. The first one is 2 7/8 pounds, the second one is 2 7/8 pounds, and so on. A 10th package, so that last package, weighs 2 times or twice as much as one of the other packages. So this last package is twice as much as these packages, which weigh 2 7/8 pounds. Let me write that here. How many pounds do all 10 packages weigh? So before I start to solve, I drew something before, just so you can see how a tape diagram can help you solve. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I made purposely these 9 the same size because it says they're 9 identical, and then there's one that's that weighs twice as much. So I made this box twice as much as these boxes because it weighs more. So it's 2 times this amount, and all these other ones are 2 7/8 pounds each. So what I'm going to do to solve is, well, first I want you to understand what it is that I'm trying to figure out. So I want to know how much all of these together. So my goal is to find out the weight of all of them. And I know that these 9 are each 2 7/8, so I could add 2 7/8 plus 2 7/8 and so on until I add to the 9th, and then add 2 more 2 7/8 technically, right? So instead of doing that, what I can do, because now hear me out, I could have done 2 7/8 times 9, right? Then 2 7/8 times 2, and then add that all together. But what I can do instead is, if I were to split this, right, then that means that each of these are also 2 7/8. So what I can do is 2 7/8 times 11, because now I have 11 boxes. So to clarify, I could have done 2 7/8 times 9 to figure out all of these, then 2 7/8 times 2 to figure out this last piece, and then add that all together. But what I notice is I'm multiplying everything by 2 7/8. So instead of doing 2 7/8 times something and then times another number, I can add the 2 and the 9, which gives me 11, and then just multiply. That's where the distributive property comes into place. Because instead of doing 2, and again it's going to come into place over here, but 2 7/8 times 9 plus 2 7/8 times 2, I can just combine them. And I'll do it again here because I'm going to first multiply the 2 times the 11, and then the 7/8 times 11. So I'm multiplying twice over here. So let's go ahead and multiply this. Well, 11 times 2 is 22. And then 11 times 7/8. Well, 11 times 7 is 77. And then I keep my denominator of 8. So I have 22 77/8. So just to clarify, again, I did 11 times 2 first, and I got 22. Then I did 11 times 7/8, and I got 77/8 because 11 times 7 is 77. And then I keep my denominator. I'm only multiplying the numerator and the whole number. Now, here I have 77/8. I want to break this apart. Well, I know that 8 goes into 77. Let's see. Well, 8 times 10 is 80, so I'm very close to with 77. So I think 9 would work. So what's 8 times 9? 8 times 9 is 72. So that would give me 9 wholes, and I'm at 72 eighths. So 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. That's 5 more eighths. So I have 5/8 left over. So I have 22 and 9 and 5/8. So if what I just did to get from 77/8 to 9 and 5/8 is confusing, I'm going to divide just so you see exactly how I got that. Well, 9 goes into 77, 8 goes into 77 9 times, and I found out that that was 72. 9 times 8 is 72, and then I subtract. 77 minus 72 is 5. 9 remainder 5. And if you remember from our previous videos, the answer, the quotient, is the whole number, and the remainder is the numerator. So to get my final answer, I'm just going to add this whole plus my mixed number. 22 plus 9 is 31, and I keep my fraction. So I have 31 and 5/8, and I want to answer this question: how many pounds do all 10 packages weigh? They weigh 31 and 5/8 pounds. This is my final answer. And since I am answering a word problem, I could write this in a sentence. All 10 packages, right? Weigh 31 pounds. So I have my final answer here. Make this smaller. There we go. And that's my final answer. So go ahead and try this one. Before you do, I'm just going to go over, I'll read the word problem with you and annotate it with you and then show you my tape diagram. So it takes 8 3/4 yards of fabric to make one quilt. So this is for one quilt. Gail needs 3 times as much fabric to make 3 quilts. She already has 2 yards of fabric. How many more yards of fabric does Gail need to buy in order to make 3 quilts? So I made another tape diagram for this problem. Show you. So I know she needs 8 3/4 fabrics for one quilt, and it says she needs 3 times that amount, so that's why I have 3, right? So the 3 quilts altogether would be all of this. That's all the fabric, so 8 3/4 plus 8 3/4 plus 8 3/4, or 8 3/4 times 3, right? 3 times. It's the same thing. And then we know that she already has 2 yards, so that's why I have another tape diagram that shows how much she has, and I want to know how much more she needs. So once I figure out the total here for all 3 quilts, using the 8 3/4 per quilt, 1 quilt, 2 quilts, 3 quilts, and then when I take away the 2 yards that she already has, I'll be left over with what she needs. So I hope that hint was helpful for you to be able to solve. So please pause now and press play when you're ready to check your work. Again, pause now and press play when you are ready. All right, so I hope my hint was helpful. What you should have done was 8 3/4 times 3. So I'm going to do 3 times 8 first, and then 3 times 3/4. So 8 times 3 is 24, and then 3 times 3/4 would be 9/4. But this is an improper fraction, so I'm going to convert it. So I now have 24 plus 4 goes into 9 2 times, and I have 1 left over. 8 plus 1 is 9. 2 1/4. So I can add this. 26 and 1/4. So that is this right here. All 3 quilts is 26 and 1/4. But she already has 2 yards, so I want to subtract 2 yards to see how much more she's going to buy. She doesn't want to buy all the fabric if she already has some. So 26 minus 2 is 24. And I'm just going to bring over my fraction because I don't have a fraction to subtract. Because if I subtract something minus nothing, I'm going to keep that same number. Like 1 minus 0 is 1, 7 minus 0 is 7. So 1/4 minus 0 would be 1/4 still. So Gail needs to buy 24 and 1/4 yards of fabric. So let me write that. Gail needs to buy 24 1/4 yards of fabric. That is my final answer. Oops. 1/4, not 2/4. As always, please let me know if you have any questions. You can reach me on Schoology, Google Classroom, or the Google chat. And you can send me a message if you want to have a Google Meet if you need a visual or still having trouble. Thanks for watching.